Hey guys, Sarah here, and it seems I have become a Minecraft YouTuber overnight, so I am legally required to hate the game now, and should probably never be trusted around children. But anyway, one of the first things that everyone thinks about when they think about Minecraft and YouTube is like how everyone hates the Anvil and everyone hates the enchantment table. But the truth is that no one, at least from the videos that I have seen, to be fair, really goes deep into the reason why those two systems are so flawed, because everyone just says the same things like, oh, remove the cap. That doesn't work. Like, I'm going to go into the math right now, but in a second, but it doesn't work. But the problem is that no one really thinks deeply about the reason why we hate the Anvil and the reason why we hate the enchantment table. And the truth is that we hate them because they use experience. Like, this entire video, as you can probably tell by the title, I still haven't decided the title, but as you can probably tell, it's about experience. Because experience just doesn't work in this game, like, at all. And that's what I'm going to illustrate today. So let's start by talking about the things and the sources. So Minecraft has a problem with experience, and it's the fact that you have only 3 things that use experience: the Anvil, the enchantment table, and mending. But these things are actually using way more experience than a normal player will get in normal gameplay, because the sources of experience just suck. Like, enemies or mobs in general, killing mobs is the best source of experience in the game, okay? And then you have breaking spawners, which is not even an experience source, breaking natural clicking hearts, not an experience source. I mean, they are sources, but they are not good sources. Breaking ores can work for a while, but not too good. Any skull-created blocks can work for a while, but it's not really that good, okay? Furnaces, they require very big farms to even run for a second. Breeding animals, I don't think anyone has ever considered this an XP source. Fishing, trading with villagers, which kinda works, to be fair. Experience bottles, disenchanting items, which always returns less experience that you used to enchant the item, and advancements. Now, these are all the sources, but again, mobs are actually the only good source of experience. And even then, compared to the amount of experience that these things sink out of you, it's not good. Like, a zombie drops 5 experience. Just 5, okay? 5. The average mob drops 5 experience. 10 if you count guardians and like places. I think they drop 10. An enchantment table, to get to level 30, you need 1,000, ignore the fact that this graphic sucks, you need 1,395 experience to go from level 0 to level 30. So, like, you need to kill 279 zombies to get from level 0 to level 30. And then, when you get to level 30, if you enchant something, and it sends you up to level 27, you need to kill 61 more zombies to get to level 30. For one enchantment, like, that doesn't work. Like, no, it doesn't really work. And the worst part is that, again, this is a game called Minecraft. Mobs aren't even part of the core gameplay loop of the game. That's why the experience system feels so bad to use, is because everyone feels like they need a mob farm, because the game just doesn't give you enough mobs under normal circumstances to get the experience that you need. Breaking a diamond door drops like 3 to 5 experience, if I'm not mistaken, and smelting raw iron gives you 0.7 experience. So you need like 500 iron to go from level 27 to level 30. That's why everyone has mob farms, because mobs are the best source of experience. And then mobs are not part of the core gameplay loop. Like, you normally mine blocks to place them or to use them to craft stuff, and that's it. And a lot of people just sleep the moment it becomes nighttime and never see a mob like for hours. And that's why all of these systems feel so bad to use, because they use experience. And not only that, but I'm pretty sure Mojang knows this, because mending is the last thing that was added to the game that uses experience. And that was added 9 years ago, in February 2016, 9 years ago. That's just not good, and I'm sure that Mojang knows that. And I'm sure that's part of the reason why they also covered up the experience bar with the locator bar, because experience just doesn't fit in this game. Like, even if Mojang, because the thing is, Mojang will probably try to solve the problems with the Anvil and the enchantment table taking so much experience by increasing the amount of XP that you get from, like, mining and killing mobs and stuff, or reducing the amount that these things takes. But the thing is, that's not good either. Like, it gets to a point where the player needs way too much experience for what they want, and then after they get all their enchanted gear, they never need experience again. At that point, just remove it from the game. It doesn't add anything. And that's actually my point today, okay? It's going to be that, how to remove experience from the game. And yeah, so let's talk about the Anvil, okay? Because, as I said, one of the first things that everyone thinks when trying to solve the Anvil is remove the cap. Now, remove the cap is Now, the problem is that the cap is the visual symptom of the problem of the Anvil using experience, okay? Like, the cap is the solution that Mojang used for the Anvil, not the problem. And you can tell because normally your cap is 39 levels, okay? And this is a graph of the Anvil penalty every time you use an Anvil, okay? This is only the penalty, not the rest of the experience that you add afterwards, but the penalty is so significant that it doesn't really matter. Now, when you use the Anvil 5 times before that, so in the 6th Anvil use actually, it penalties you with 31 levels, which is the moment where you get this. But the next use, if they remove the cap, the next use will be 63 levels. Now, 63 levels is 9,843 experience points, or 1,968 zombies. They remove the cap, but no one is going to pay that much. It's way too much. And that's because this function is an exponential function. This one isn't actually, okay? This is 3 linear functions in a trench code, but this is an exponential function. It's 2 to the power of Anvil use minus 1. And like, even if they remove the cap right now, the experience system is just so bad that no one will use the Anvil more than 5 times. 6 times actually. More than the 6th item when you have 5 penalty. Because it's just way too expensive. And even if you used it once more, like, you get 1 use. The next time is 1,127 levels. I don't even know how much experience that is. So yeah, my entire point is that experience is a bad system. It takes too much, and when you are done, and in the early game it takes too much, and when you're done with the early game, it doesn't even matter anymore except for mending. But mending is also a problem, okay, by the way. Fully repairing a netherite item takes around 1000 experience too, which is like, again, the same from going to level 0 to level 30, so you need 270 mobs for that. So yeah, that's why I think removing the experience system is better for the game. And I know what some of you may be thinking, but we cannot remove it from the game. It has always been this way. That thought, and let me get serious for a second, okay? That thought is a problem. The thought of we cannot change because it has always been this way, or we don't need to change because it has always been this way, that just makes you stagnant. You are not improving. You are never going to change, and you are never going to improve. Now, you can try to change and get worse, but like, this is especially in a video game. Like, you can just reverse the changes that you do after you do them if you don't think they are good. They should try at least, but they don't, because when they try to do drastic changes, the community just jumps them. Like when they try to keep inventory on by default I don't remember how long ago it was, but they tried to do that if you were in easy and normal, and everyone jumped them. Why? I don't know. Actually, I think it's a good idea, changing the game, but if Mojang tries and the community just says, no, we don't want this, well, they are going to stop trying to improve the game. And this shows because, like, we're still using systems that were designed by someone that clearly didn't know what they were doing, and that was just adding things to the game because they wanted to, like, 64 item stacks, or durability, or dropping all your items on death, or only getting 100 experience back when you die, which makes no sense. Why do you die with 30 levels and get 100 experience points back? Like, what? That makes no sense. But the community actually allows this behavior from both Mojang, and Mojang allows the community to have that behavior. Okay, it's like it's a cycle. Because the community is way too nostalgic for something that doesn't really matter, and that is making the game worse, at least in my opinion, of course, is making the game worse all the time. Like, if you didn't have to think about experience, then you will just be focusing on actually using the items for their intended use. You wouldn't have to sit in a mob farm for 2 hours to get your gear. And now that we have talked about this, let's go back to continuing to remove experience from the game with my ideas. Okay, so first, renaming shouldn't even be done in the Anvil. Now, it doesn't make any sense that renaming costs experience. Like, why does it cost me 32 levels? First, if it costs experience, then why does it use the penalty? Like, why can't it just cost 1 instead of having 1 plus the penalty? Because this is an axe with max penalty, okay? And second, and most importantly, why is it done in the Anvil? Like, what part of using a hammer to hit something into an iron mass gives it an item? Of course, you will tell me that it's like because you are branding the name into the item, but then, like, name tags exist, and to be fair, you should be able to just use name tags, right clicking them and changing the name. So anyway, that's why I want to first remove naming from the Anvil and move it to its own block with a GUI designed for it. This is a quick mockup that I did. It's like so bad, but anyway, my idea is to have some sort of renaming station that you place, and then it has a slot for the item that you want to rename, the name, and a slot for die. And this could work in 2 ways, okay? The way that Mojang would probably do it, if this was made by them, is that you input a die here, and when you take the item out, the item name is that color. You know, if you have a red die, it becomes a red name. My idea is that you input die, and then every letter that you type is typed with using one die of that color. So if you input 3 red die and type hello, it's going to give you this. 3 letters in red, 2 letters in yellow, in yellow, in white. But if you input 3 red, type hello, hell, and then input 2 blue and type low, you get this. 3 letters in red, 2 letters in blue. And the worst part is that the game already supports this, as you can clearly tell by this being a vanilla client. Well, actually it's not a vanilla client, but I don't have any mods. Oops. I don't have any mods installed, it's just Fabric. So yeah, the game already supports this. Bedrock Edition can do this in the Anvil normally using colored formatting, but like Java cannot, and also like they could just make it use die, just like they did with signs, you know, signs. And I don't know where dice are red. I probably typed the worst die to it. You know, you right click with an item and it turns red. You input a die, it turns red, that's obvious. And if I do it my way, then it's personally I think it's better. And then let's talk about repairing items on the Anvil, because that's what the Anvil was made for, and it kinda sucks at it. Like, why? So first, you can repair items using their materials. Ignore the debug sticks are supposed to be spears, okay? This is recorded in 21.10. I didn't feel like using the snapshots. So wooden items can be repaired with wood. The shield can be repaired with wood, okay? Makes sense. Stone with stone, cobble, and well, cobble, deep slate, and blackstone, okay? Makes sense. Leather is repaired with leather, okay? Makes sense. Iron, and chainmail is repaired with iron. Doesn't really make sense for chainmail to be repaired with iron, but then again, chainmail should be craftable with chains, but Mojang doesn't want to. And also, like, these 2 helmets are literally the same. There's 8 helmets in the game, and 5 of them have the same amount of defense. So anyway, copper is repaired with copper, gold is repaired with gold, diamond is repaired with diamond. I'm going to ignore that for a second. The turtle shell is repaired with skewed. The wolf armor is repaired with skewed, but from armadillos, because these 2 couldn't be the same item. Elytra is repaired with phantom membrane, and the maze, weirdly enough, is repaired with breeze rods. Now, this is probably because Mojang realized that making the player spend 4 heavy cores to repair their maze doesn't make sense. But then they decided that using 4 netherite ingots to repair their items from netherite is perfectly fine, even though it doesn't even make sense. Like, you have a scrap already, which you can craft 4 scrap into 1 ingot. Just make it use scrap and use 4 scrap, which is 1 ingot, and that way you also reward the player for not immediately turning all their scrap into netherite ingots. But oh well. Now, another thing that's important to mention is that there are very glaring obsessions in this list that I mentioned. Like, all these items cannot be repaired in the Anvil without using another of the same item. Why? Like, tridents is like, it makes no sense. We already have prismarine shards in the game. Why then aren't they used to repair the trident? Why do you need 2 tridents or mending to repair the trident? It makes no sense. And the same happens with like bows. They should be repaired with string, crossbows too, or with tripwire, I don't know. Fishing rods, the bait, and shears with iron, and brushes with feathers. Another important thing that I want to mention is that repairing items in the Anvil should cost 1 of the material, not 4. For 2 reasons. First, actually I should probably use an Anvil to illustrate this point. Nah, it's alright. If you input an item in the Anvil and then input 4 diamonds in the Anvil, it will repair it entirely and you will get the item back. However, you can also input 1 diamond, take it out, 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 and that will also repair it fully, but in the first one you spent like 1 Anvil use, and in the second one you spent 4 Anvil uses. That makes no sense. Like, why can I pay like way more experience for the same thing? It makes no sense. And also, 4 items, okay, the pickaxe, the sword, the axe, the shovel, the hoe, the spear, and the boots are all crafted. I completely mispronounced that. Are all crafted with 4 or less of the material. So it's cheaper to craft a new one than to repair it in the Anvil. It makes no sense. Just make it just 1 and make netherite use scrap, and that's it. The system is solved. Like, you put 1 item, 1 diamond, and it's fixed. That way you reward the player for not immediately breaking their tools. Because even with an enchanted tools, okay, you can put an item without enchantments in there and repair it for cheaper than it will be to craft a new one. Right now it doesn't matter. The moment if you don't have enchantments, breaking your pickaxe doesn't matter, because crafting a new one is cheaper than repairing it. So anyway, that's all I had to say about Anvils, because I don't think Anvils should be able to put enchantment books into the items. I think that's something that the enchantment table should do. And of course, all of these will cost no experience because again, experience is no longer a thing in the game. I don't think it should be. I mean, I'm already paying the material, so why the hell is it costing me another thing? Doesn't make any sense. And now for enchanting, first, you should be able to combine items with a system kind of similar to this, you know, like you pay a bit of the material that you want to use for the combining, you know, like netherite will use netherite scrap, tridents will use prismarine shards, the same material that you use for the anvil repair, you will use it for this, and then you pay lapis and put the two items and combine their enchants. Same way as the anvil works, except without experience. And then to get the enchantments themselves, a lot of people say the problem with the enchantment table is that it's random. That's not the problem, okay? The enchantment table being random is not the problem. The problem is that you need to kill a lot of mobs to get the experience to roll the enchantment table. Because like, villagers are random and no one hates them. Why? Because they don't take experience. You can pull the lever of the slot machine all the time. That's why everyone hates the enchantment table, because it takes a long time to roll. So to solve that, again, we remove experience and ideally, this is just an idea, but maybe we should consider making enchantments craftable. Like you can use the enchantment table normally, you know, you input lapis and an item and roll a random enchantment, but you can also pay more to choose what enchantments you craft. This is a screenshot from a mod, okay? It's in the description. A lot of people jumped me on Twitter for saying that I wanted to be able to craft enchantments. To be fair, I completely expressed myself wrong, so yeah. But yeah, you should be able to craft enchantments for more materials or choose to be random and pay less materials. The randomness should be a reward for not choosing your upgrades. That's how every video game in existence works, by the way. This is that's how every game in existence works. You pay what you want for the upgrades, and if you want a random upgrade, you pay less in rewards because it's a random upgrade. And now that we have, I don't think I'm missing anything with the enchantment table. Nope. Okay, no. I mean, we could still keep the bookshelves if we want. I personally don't think we should. Like, I think not having bookshelves is also a benefit. Like, doesn't really matter if you don't. But I have no opinion on that topic, to be fair. And maybe the bookshelves can reduce the amount of materials that you need to pay. So in this case, it will be like less lapis, amethyst, etc. Also, being able to craft enchantments also has the benefit of giving items use, like, I don't know, amethyst shards, which are completely useless in normal situations. And if you needed them to craft Fortune 3, then it will be like, oh, I found a geode, let's go. But yeah, and then the last thing that I want to talk about is mending, because again, if we remove experience, what do we do with mending? In my opinion, well, I had two ideas, that's why the dispenser was there. But the main idea that I have is that you could make it so having an item with mending equipped drops experience, makes things drop experience. So like you have a sword with mending equipped, the zombie drops experience, but they don't go to your experience bar, they just repair your item and that's it, and they are like no longer experience orbs, they are mending orbs and that's it. That was my main idea. I also had another idea, which was like making the items repair over time, but that has a lot of problems. Like you will be able to use it to repair the items over time, but I don't think it's a good idea. It has some problems because, for example, players will probably expect it to repair over time even when they are not in their inventory. But that means that leaving them in a chest will force the chest, will need to be chunk loaded for it to work. And if a casual player sees that their tools sometimes repair over time and sometimes don't, they are going to get confused. So I think it's not a good idea to do that. But I think making it so that enemies drop XP when you kill them, or when ores drop XP, etc. I think it's a good idea. The only problem is that for that to work properly, then furnaces will probably need to be reworked. Because right now furnaces store the experience inside, but give it to you when you take the item out. But if they needed to give it to you only when you have mending, then I don't know, but I think it's a good idea at least. Or, I mean, to be fair, we could remove mending entirely, okay? The anvil can repair the items unless you are making them netherite, but like, you are making them netherite, okay? I think that's a problem that you already have, because like mining netherite kinda sucks. And I think that's it, I think. Yeah, well, thanks to everyone who subscribed to the channel, and thanks to Dashpan for fucking boosting me to the stratosphere. And yeah, that's it. Like, expect more videos probably. I have an idea on bundles, and well, that one is going to be more like a rant than anything else. And yeah, well, this video wasn't even supposed to be made. I just woke up and had 500 subscribers overnight, so you know, I had to do something, or at least I felt like I had to. So yeah, goodbye.